Welcome horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. I'm your host, Tanner Leeser, here for The King in Giallo, and I wanted to give you a little giallo film guide for Halloween. Nothing too intense here. I just wanted to spotlight 5 giallo films that I think would be good choices for a Halloween viewing. The caveat here is that these films I would rank as being closer to horror than crime thrillers. As most of you know with this genre, isolating a solid vibe with these movies is damn near impossible. With slashers, you can almost guarantee it will be some form of horror, perhaps scary, campy, or even comedy horror. With giallo, there are so many different ways any film may go with its tone. The films I chose for this list are closer to what I would say is playing in the vein of true horror. No, this list is not perfect, and no, this is not the end-all, be-all giallo Halloween list. I will spoil the common thread I will use for this year's list by saying that all of the giallo films I select are closer to behaving like slashers. Next year, I might showcase some gialli that are more supernatural, but for now, I wanted to do the ones that are more of slasher giallo films. An important item to remember is that most of these films did come out long before the slasher subgenre established itself. Lastly, before I start, let me restate that these are just some of my picks, and of course there are plenty more titles that could fit into this video. I invite you to tell me which gialli you'd put in your Halloween recommendations and why. Also, these are not my top giallo films, but many of them are among my favorites. Okay, in no particular order, here are 5 giallo films that feel like slashers to watch for Halloween. 1. A Bay of Blood, 1971 by Mario Bava. This film shares a lot of visual cues which ended up in Friday the 13th, 1980, and for that reason alone it makes it worthy for me to recommend here. The middle of the movie goes from one over-the-top murder scene to the next faster than any slasher does. The kills, gore, and mystery make it an enjoyable watch for people who are slasher fans who haven't yet dabbled too deep into giallo cinema. 2. Tenebrae, 1982 by Dario Argento. This film is one giallo where Argento leans way more into the vibes exploited by slasher films of the time. Whereas most of his other gialli are more of crime thrillers, I feel Tenebrae is one of the greatest of his gialli in respects to adhering to the lane of looking and feeling like a slasher. There is great violence on display, creepy sequences with an unknown killer, and a terrific reveal at the end. 3. The Fifth Chord, 1971 by Luigi Bazzoni. Now this giallo does play more like a crime thriller giallo more than the others on this list, but the climax, in my opinion, is one of the scariest and most tense scenes in giallo cinema. As I have said before, this was the only time I watched a giallo and actually felt a sense of unease and dread as to what was about to happen. For some non-giallo fans who might not really gel with the whole giallo vibe, I think the ending makes it worth it. 4. Torso, 1973 by Sergio Martino. This is considered an early slasher film. That's how hardcore this movie is. This was before Texas Chainsaw Massacre and before Black Christmas, and demonstrated that a giallo film could lean way more into the exploitation of murder in the unfolding of its narrative. The scene where a girl is stalked and murdered in a muddy forest is pure horror cinema and is easily my favorite giallo scene of all time. And 5. The New York Ripper, 1982 by Lucio Fulci. This is the GOAT of giallo films behaving like slashers. The violence is unmatched by any other, the giallo style is not put to the side, and the quacking of the killer is simply fucking amazing as a gimmick. As someone who started out as a slasher fan before segueing to giallo films, this movie blew my mind with how intense the gore was. But you come to expect this level of special effects violence from Lucio Fulci and accept nothing less from him. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little Halloween video. I was very busy this month and actually wrote and edited this entire video on Halloween in hopes that I could get it out today, whereas my plan was actually to work on it in the days leading up, but we do what we must. I don't expect the giallo enthusiasts here to agree 100% with this list, but please share with me which movies you would recommend to non-giallo fans if you were trying to get them to watch one for Halloween. As I said, my list this year reflects giallo films which are not too far away from what slasher fans would be accustomed to. Which giallo films would you choose and why? Which giallo films do you think are akin to slashers that a horror fan of slashers might enjoy? One who has never delved into giallo cinema before. Thanks for watching and for joining me this October as I detoured from my usual type of giallo content and tried several new types of videos. I'll be back with more of my regularly scheduled content very soon. If you are new here, consider subscribing to The King in Giallo and join us every week as we dive deeper and deeper into this nearly forgotten film genre. Thanks for your support, and if nothing else, I hope to see you next time.
Gonna have to clean it up. You.
What's the matter with you? You need to keep your woman in line. I did it for you this time because I feel sorry for you. Next time, you might not be so lucky. I might slap you in the face. A man slapping a man. Imagine that.